Okay, now we are live. Everybody, welcome to the Aussie and the Indians channel, and on behalf of the Momma Mafia series of interviews, I'd like to welcome everyone to the beautiful and very talented and gifted Linda Norman. Drum roll. So, hello, Linda.
Hello, Chris. How are you?
Now, we've both gone and got a glass of wine each.
We have.
And because
red and the white.
this is our second go, because we had a great chat the other night, a good hour.
Yeah, and, so it's like cheers. So.
Yeah, it was a great chat, and I didn't bloody record any of it. Like, I didn't know what buttons to press because I'm a bit new to this StreamYard thing. But I think I've got a handle on it now. But there's red bloody buttons going on flashing, so I know it's working. I hope. And it's also
yeah.
Yes. And I think this is the right view. This will do anyway, because we're going to chat for the next half an hour or so, and I'm going to just go back on a few things. Now, Linda, we go back. We've only really met face-to-face once, very briefly, at the Dubbo Women's World Record attempt in 2016, I think that was.
Yeah, 2016. Yeah, I think it was.
We got 1,000-something people.
Yeah, I took a group of women from up here.
Long ride.
And for it. So, yeah, it was good.
that was because where do you live up in the Whitsundays, right?
Yeah, up here near Ellie Beach in,
right.
Well, I don't know whether it was Central Queensland, North Queensland. I think it was sort of on that little bit of a border there. Yes, we had 6 days from here to Dubbo and back.
Oh, right, so yeah.
It was pretty much on your bikes, ride, get down there, head home and ride.
Mammoth ride, so power to you. But for those overseas folk that are listening to us, Airlie Beach is probably a good couple of hours north of Brisbane, or further actually.
Oh, yeah, 1,200 kilometres north of Brisbane.
North of Brisbane, right.
Yeah,
so you've got that, then Brisbane, then you keep going down the coast and you'd end up in Sydney and then Melbourne for those people all on the eastern seaboard of Australia.
Think of the Great Barrier Reef. We're up here, Great Barrier Reef, Whitsundays, Hayden Island, Hamilton Island.
And you're on property there, right?
Yeah. We've got a fair few acres here, 250.
So, the other interesting connection with us is our love of brown leather, because you had a Harley, which I know you've sold now, but it was all decked out in the brown saddlebags, and you did a lot of riding in America with that one, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I purchased that bike originally in America. It was a red and white Softail Deluxe, and I had a custom paint job done for it over there and had all the tins put on it, and then shipped it to Australia. Rode it a lot around Australia, won quite a bit over here at different show and shines. And then I shipped it to America for 12 months. I did 2 tours on that bike in the 12 months. And then, back home to Australia. And so, it's done more cruises across the Pacific than I have. So it's pretty beautiful. And I think a few of them might have gone via China.
Wow. So let's go back a bit. So, Linda, you've been riding for a while now, right? Let's take us back to when you started.
Yeah, when we were teenagers, riding the postie bike around the cane paddocks. I remember we had 3 of us poled on the postie bike. I think we fell off more times than we were on the bike. Really wasn't designed for going around cane paddocks. And, then had a bit of a break while the kids were growing up. We've got 2 daughters. And had a bit of a break with that, but both the girls rode dirt bikes. So it was sort of time for Mama Bear to get back on the bike. And, my husband went and bought me a little Virago 250. And
I think I started on one of those as well, for road.
We all do. They were brilliant starter bikes. Yeah.
So, so you've had a number of bikes, but, I mean, you are tell us about, you train women or train anyone to ride, don't you?
Yeah, I was a curator. I had a business up here. My husband and I, we've been in business for 34 years in the tyre industry, but I like to do my own little thing. He's in it with his 2 younger brothers, so I like to do my own little thing. So I was a rider trainer. I had a rider training business up here, and I was a Q-Ride provider, which meant I did all the licensing for people. So I had that for 10 years. I was also a driver trainer before I had that, and did a lot of driver training, had a few driver trainers working for me. And I've sold the business now. I sold it earlier.
You're the first female in Australia, right? To be an instructor.
I was the first woman in, well, a Q-ride's sort of like a Queensland thing, but I was the first woman in her own right, like Holly Solly on her own as a Q-ride provider for Queensland. Okay. So, yeah, it was a bit of a battle initially, and there were many nights that I thought, it was just took so much the process to be able to get it.
I mean, those sort of things are always wrapped up in so much red tape, and they're paralysed by rules and power to you. I can't work with things like that.
Yeah, but it was good. I had a lot of fun. Certainly met a lot of lovely people through it, and I'm a really passionate motorcyclist, and I really loved sharing with people the joy of like getting on a motorcycle. And I had a lot of women riders that used to come up, like they'd travel quite a way to come and do the training with me, because I think I knew what they went through, what they were going through, like with the whole learning process and your fears and everything with it. So it was a lot of fun. So
you also did some special events where you brought out the Ride Like a Pro guy. I've forgotten his name.
Yes, Scott Ford from America. We first went to America and we met Scott, and we did the course over there in America. And I said to Scott, hey, why don't you come out to Australia? And he said, yep, you get me the numbers, I'll be out there. So we initially started getting Scott out here. Then Gasoline Alley down in Brisbane hopped on board, and they took over with it. And stole my thunder. But that's just the way it rolls when you're a little business against a big business, I suppose. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. And I also used to run a lot of courses for women that were riding bigger, heavier bikes to help them with just that slow manoeuvring skills.
I have bought some of his videos. They're fantastic. Like,
they're brilliant.
I mean, if no one knows about it, it's called Ride Like a Pro, and just the tips you can get with turning. And when you are riding big bikes, they can be very intimidating. I know for me, and that whole, I mean, I'm still trying to practice it, and I still stuff up. But that whole thing of, when you're doing tight turns and everything and manoeuvres, to look beyond the front wheel, and it's such an unnatural thing to not look where you think you're going. It takes a lot of practice. I still don't get it all the time, but it's hard work. How did you find all that stuff?
It's a lot of practice, and I was lucky because of the rider training that I did get the opportunity to do a lot of practice. I used to actually I ride a road glide, 2018 road glide. I had a couple of street glides. Yeah, I had a couple of street glides before this, so I've been lucky that I could practice a lot doing it. And I get what you're saying. It does really. It's getting out of your comfort zone and just forcing yourself to just look that further ahead. But once you start doing it, you find that it flows through surprisingly to all of your riding. So that slow skills flows through to all of your riding. When you're out there, doing like riding around, your windy roads, that training yourself to look more ahead, it flows through to that as well.
I always think when particularly women say, oh, I couldn't ride that bike, it's too big for me, I'm just little. And it's really not about the ratio of size of bike to size of human. It's really about technique, isn't it? And I saw on that guy's video, I think it's on YouTube.
Yeah.
This woman, she wouldn't have been 5 foot, she would have been 4'10". He actually had to physically put her on the bike.
I've seen that.
Touch the ground, and she was physically put on the bike and then let go. She did these figure eights, these manoeuvres, these tight little things on like a Honda Goldwing, at the biggest bike you could get. She just nailed it. And then, she'd come to a stop and basically had to sort of jump off and hold. And I mean, she would probably elect to buy a bike like that in her real life, but he was just demonstrating it's not the size that you are. You can ride any size of bike. It's knowing the technique, right?
That is exactly right. I used to use that a lot, like, because my bike's, well, it's over 480 kilos or something, and when you add fuels and everything, it's heavier than that. And I used to use it, like I had my street glides before I've got my road glide, and I used to use the street glides a lot for my demonstrations. And because I found I had quite a few men would come through and be a little bit like, oh yeah, what do you know, girly? Especially because you would get riders that have been riding all their life, but probably never had a license, or maybe they've lost their license and have to come back and redo the course. So, there are people that have been riding a long time, and you could just pick up this attitude that, oh, what do you know, sort of thing. And as soon as I jump on the old street glide and rip it round the figure eight and just be like dragging the floorboards, they would, it sat them back in their box a bit, and they realised that, hey, yep, maybe I can learn something off this lady.
Yeah.
So,
well, I think we can always learn. I mean, so many of us. I've been riding like you, probably 30 plus years, but I still have my stuff up. I still learn something new every ride I take. I think I must do that. And I'm always trying to practice that putting my head where I want to go. Just being that one step ahead of where I am, but gee, it's a mind thing. You've really got to be. It's like jumping off a bit of a cliff sometimes. I think.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But they're definitely fun to ride the big bikes. We do a lot of touring, so hence big bikes.
Yeah, of course.
It's not the be all. Not saying they're the be all and do all, but hey, if you're doing a lot of riding, it's the way to go. And up here in North Queensland, we've pretty much got to ride nearly 1,000 k's before we find a really good windy road. So
we must say.
We can go up to Atherton, up around the Tablelands, and Commander. There's beautiful roads up there. We quite often will duck up there for a weekend, but that's about a 7-hour ride north.
You and your husband, or are you a group rider, or maybe mainly just the two of you, or just you on your own, or do you?
It's mainly my husband and I. Both of us ride together. We used to ride a bit in groups years ago, but it's sort of, we've just got a little bit out of riding with groups now. I think we just enjoy, not saying we always enjoy our own company. I mean, most of the time it's great, but just sometimes riding in the group is not really what we're into.
So, Linda, speaking of touring, you have done a lot of trips, particularly to the destination of your choice, America, right?
Certainly have.
How many trips to America have you done, and for how long each time?
We've done 8 trips over there, and each time we've spent 4 weeks to 6 weeks each time we've gone over, and that's been wholly and solely on the bikes. 4 to 6 weeks. So we've travelled a lot of countryside in that time. We rarely go over the same roads. It's always, if there's a road there that we have travelled previously, I'll try and find another way around that may pick up another back road somewhere.
So you do all the planning. You're the route master?
Yes, I'm the route master. I do all the planning. My poor husband, the darling man, hardly knows one end of the map to the other one when it comes to planning sometimes. So, I do a lot of all of the planning and everything as we go along. He's always out front, and I'm usually riding along behind. I'll have the GPS on, and we've got intercom between us, and I'm generally telling him where to go, which is life when you're married.
You can always turn those things off, bang, off. Don't have to speak anymore.
Yes.
So you had the GPS. So are you both on I know sometimes you've shipped your bikes over, or do you do that for all the times, or do you sometimes hire, or you both take your bikes over, or whatever?
We have done a variety. We shipped my Deluxe over because that was the one with the brown saddlebags, brown seat, everything, and the metallic flames. We shipped that over because it was a bit of an iconic bike. And the other times we have purchased bikes over there, resold them at the end of the journey. We've purchased bikes over there. We've shipped them back to Australia. We left them there sometimes for the next trip. So a bit of a variety how we've done it. We've also rented as well over there. Our first trip we rented bikes, but because we both ride and we both go for a fairly long time, it's not really economical to be able to rent.
No.
So you sort of have to start looking, at some alternative that is going to work out a little bit more reasonable if you want to keep going.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And shipping, you're without, if you do ship your bike, you're sort of without that for a couple of months, aren't you? It takes 2 months for it to land, clear customs, all that.
Yeah. Look, I would normally say to people allow 2 months because there could be hold-ups with customs. I was lucky when I shipped the Deluxe, I had a street glide here in Australia, so it didn't worry me being without the Deluxe for that period of time, because it did actually, like I say, it stayed over there for a full 12 months, and then it was, on the ship coming back. So I probably was without that bike for, gosh, it must have been nearly 18 months I was without it for.
Right, yeah.
By the time it came back. But it didn't sort of worry me because, like I say, I had the other bike. But you do have that downtime. But, if you're lucky enough you've got that extra bike, well, you've got baby Jane you could leave behind.
You can't go far. But anyway, I'll sort that out. I'll cut a deal with Indian. I'll say, give me a Springfield for a couple of months. I love Springfield. I mean, I'm on the cheap vintage, but I usually get a Springfield when I go to America as a press bike or something, and they're just a delight. They're a delight. But all my previous trips, I've been on Harleys, because you can only really rent Harleys. I mean, Eagle Rider now is just Harleys, unless you want to go outside of that and do Beamers and things. But
yeah, I think Eagle Rider is starting to get a lot more into Indians.
Oh, are they? Because I know they had some, and then when I went, they go, no, we've got rid of everything except Harleys. But there might have been odd little outreach franchise that they've kept a few in stock, but I mainly went to the guys. But as it turns out, I do a thing now with Indians, so I'll be over there in next August. So you go every year, is that right?
Yeah, pretty much every year we go over.
2020, you're over there?
Well, 2020 we are hoping to do Alaska. So we'll go up through, we'll leave from Portland, Oregon, we'll go up through Canada. We've done a lot of travelling through Canada over the years as well. So we'll head up through there, and then we are hoping to go to Alaska. We just have to see how we go. We've just got a little bit going on next year, so we're just tossing up whether we will make it. But I can see that it will come May, and we'll be going, let's book it. Yeah. Because we really weren't going to go this year. And then at the last minute, I said, nope, we are out of here. Let's go.
So you did Sturgis this year, right? Did you do Sturgis?
Yeah.
But that would have been, you've done Sturgis a few times, right?
Yeah, we've been there a few times now. So we love it.
Well, I'm going next year for the 80th anniversary, and I know it's just going to be mentally packed.
Yeah.
But I'll see how I go. I'm not big on crowds, but I'll go and experience it for a day and a half, and then I think I'll just moonwalk out of there and get into the mountains on the bike on my
Well, no, there's going to be plenty of bikes in the mountains. We went there in 2015 for the 75th, and I think depends who you get the numbers off, but there were between 1.2 to 1.4 million people there. It was pretty packed. It was really, we did one lap up the main street, and it would have taken us over an hour to do one lap, because it was just like the crawling pace, and every intersection you come to, you have to stop. Every motorcycle has to stop, and there's a lot of intersections as you go up through Sturgis, and it was about 50-degree heat.
Oh my God!
I had fishtails on my soft tail when I did that lap up through there, and my legs were just burnt on the inside. Yeah, so I only did the one lap that year, but this year we probably did a dozen laps up and down the main street. It was still like a bit of a crawling pace, but it was definitely a lot quicker. You can see on my Facebook page there, I've shared videos when I've done a couple of laps up there. Yeah. It was definitely a lot quicker.
Yeah, so it's those milestone years, 75, 80 and 50, that they probably get the biggest ones, and
they get the biggest crowds. But even this year, I think it was about 800,000 this year. So it was still maybe six to 800, I think it was this year. But you're talking a town that's around about a normal population of about 6,000 people. But it flows out to the outlying towns, the outlying areas as well, like Deadwood, Spearfish, all through the national parks.
And I'm staying at Rapid City, and that's just about 17 miles out or something.
It's an easy ride. You will just go straight on the interstate, 80 mile an hour, if you're lucky, 100 mile an hour, up the interstate. It's an easy ride. You just come in, I think it's Junction Avenue, so you come in the first entrance into Sturgis, and I can't remember the number, whether it was exit 35 or 33. But anyway,
lost.
It's a lot quicker.
I'm riding with 4 other guys. I've only met one of them briefly at a couple of bike events, so we're sort of all on Indians as part of a bit of a PR thing, I think. You know, I'll be filming and doing stories and stuff like that on them.
You'll have plenty of stories, Chris.
I will make it my point to make some stories as well.
You will have plenty of stories. Just, it's unbelievable.
So, just keeping on America for a while. I mean, I've been 6 times, but only for 2-week runs. Not like, you know, and I mean, I have my moments that I remember as my favourite, but often it's the most scariest moments that stick in my mind the most. I mean, do you have a favourite riding destination over there that you would say, look, this is if you get one chance to go to America to ride, this is the one you've got to do. This is the ride you've got to do.
Yeah, look, I love Colorado. I love Colorado. I love Montana. So they're both a bit of a toss-up. Oh, God, Idaho has some great roads too, believe it or not.
Yeah, I know. Beautiful.
One of my favourite would be in Colorado, and it would be the Trail Ridge Pass, which leads up from Kremling. You go from Kremling up through, I forget the name of the other town, but it brings you up into Estes Park. It's you're up in an elevation. It's not an overly high elevation, but you're fairly up there. It's around about 12,000 feet elevation. But it is just a magnificent ride. It's really, I think Trail Ridge Pass, they say it's one of the highest paved roads or continuous paved roads or something, the wording is, in America. But it's definitely a ride that's worth doing. It's a nice, steady, slow ride. As you go up through the national park there's moose are generally on the southern end of it. And when you come out, because you can actually go through this Trail Ridge Pass to go to Sturgis if you're coming from down south. And when you come out of this Estes Park, you come through this canyon. It's called, oh God, it's slipped my mind now, but you head to Loveland. Thompson Canyon, I think it is from memory, but it's just it's a fantastic ride. And up at Estes Park, you've got the Stanley Hotel, which is where Stephen King stayed and got the inspiration for his famous novel, The Shining. So it's got quite a few freaky things that have gone on at this Stanley Hotel. So even just to go and have a visit there, it's worth it. There's plenty of other accommodation there, but
So Colorado. So my last trip, I went to Colorado Springs and I rode up.
Nice.
Pikes Peak. Which is about 14,000. I got altitude sickness. It's the highest I've ever been in my life. It's just spectacular. That was on the way to, is it the Gateway, on the way to Monument Valley? I sort of went that way, you know.
Oh, yeah, it's a fair way over to one side from it. But, you could, a couple of days right away.
I'm getting comments on the side of the thing, so we might be live. I don't know. It's got scheduled, but who knows? Who cares?
We can play it twice.
Smitty has jumped on and he's saying, the cat house at Deadwood. Oh yeah, I've seen the cat house at Deadwood. I've been to Deadwood, but it wasn't during Sturgis time.
Well, when you're at Sturgis, when you leave there, are you getting the chance to ride the Beartooth?
I don't know. I'm still waiting for all the route to come down the line.
If you do, that is another bucket list ride. It's one like I've got all these rides featured in my book. But it is an absolute bucket list ride as well. And it's up around what's the elevation of it? I think it's up around 14,000 feet as well. But it is a fantastic ride. If you get the opportunity to do that, take it. And it will bring you in actually the northern entrance of Yellowstone. And even riding through Yellowstone is fantastic.
Yeah, I know Yellowstone's on our map of things to do. So, but it's going to be just 2 weeks in August, to capture that. I'm contemplating whether I'll do that third week. If one of the guys is riding to Nashville, I may extend a week and go with him to Nashville and do that and just swap my flight while I'm there. But if not, I'll flip home because I am going back, as we've talked about, in about 3 years' time. I'm shipping Calamity over there and spending 3 to 4 months riding there. So all of this about America brings me to the big important part of this chat with you, Linda, not only being a fellow Aussie rider, but is you very cleverly have published a book called The Aussies Guide to Road Tripping America. Yes. It's fabulous. It's becoming my Bible. I lay in bed and look at it. You've done such an amazing job with this. It's so easy to read. The pictures are great. The maps are fantastic. And I know we've talked before, so tell me about the maps, because what you told me last time was incredible. Tell me what
they're all hand-drawn. I had to learn how to draw maps.
Unbelievable. You can't nick them off Google because of copyright.
Well, I didn't want to risk it. I didn't want to put the book out and then have them come back at me and say, no, you're not allowed to do that. You're a naughty girl. So, yes, I have hand-drawn all the maps. So if they look a wee bit
they're amazing. You've done
they're pretty accurate, and it was too expensive to get a cartographer to actually do the maps for me.
Yeah.
So, but it was really good because I actually did the maps myself. It meant that I could put the actual points that were relevant to the ride that I had actually written in the book. I could put them all in there, your main highways, and take out all the other jargon that you really didn't need. So it just gives people that basic what they need to aim for in the map. So it actually worked out a bit of a bonus.
Fantastic. And one of my favourite animals there. And you took all these pictures in this book. These are your real life
I can remember taking that photo of that bison. I was actually on the back of my husband's bike that day because quite often I'll jump on the back of his bike when we go through.
Good, isn't it? If you can pillion a bit, because you can capture a lot of stuff.
You can get a lot of better photos, but I'm a bit of a paranoid pillion.
Me too.
That bison, we were on a dirt road and he kept going closer and closer to it. And that was actually, I think that was in our 2011 trip. And I was terrified. And they're big.
Bad now. But I think I was in Montana and we saw one come over the hill and cars, and we all sort of stopped. Yeah. And we were just mesmerised by this one. And as it's galloping down the hill towards the road, it looked like a swarm of ants behind it. And it was actually this thousands and thousands of them, just like black, just covered the green hill, all coming all onto the road. I had like breathing near me, and I was so scared, but I was so exhilarated as well. But isn't it like those experiences that will never leave my head?
They're amazing. They're really... They're an amazing creature, and to see them lumbering along the road beside you, and they're so used to motorists and motorcyclists around them that they are generally, they're pretty placid. Yeah. I would hate to roll one up because they can run damn fast.
Oh, yeah. Given their size, they're very nimble, like they've got those little legs, really, haven't they? That don't match their body. They look odd, but they're an amazing creature. But it's those. Have you had any really scary moments that have made you think, "Oh my God, I've got I've got grandchildren to watch grow up"? Has there any been of those where you questioned what you do? I've had a couple, but not enough to riding.
We've had a few. There's a few that, I probably won't mention on here in case the kids watch it. But, yeah, we certainly had a few. Probably one that really sticks to my mind is when we went through in 2018 and we were in Montana, and it was actually the beginning of summer, and we're riding along, and Barry, my husband, and I, we've got intercom between us, and Barry goes, "Oh, what's this white stuff falling out of the sky?" I'm like, "Oh, I think it's pollen." Well, see, we're from North Queensland. It never snows up here, so we've never seen that white stuff falling out of the sky. Anyway, it sort of like cleared for a little while, but it was pretty dark and ominous, the clouds all around. And then we went a little bit further in through the mountains, and then this little white pollen-y looking stuff started getting really, really big. And then it ended up a full-on snow blizzard. But by then, we could not see to pull off the road because everything was a total whiteout. So we were pretty much riding along, one hand on the throttle. This hand was just doing this, wiping the sleet off the visor. And then I remembered, I've got my GoPro on the front of my bike. So I always mount it to the front fairing. I thought, I'll get some really awesome photos here. Everything was just white out. Well, unfortunately, my GoPro was a solid frozen mass on the front of the bike. So all I got was something like a, what do you call it, a white rabbit in a snowstorm sort of thing. So just icicles was all I ended up with, 50 photos of that. But it was really funny because we went through this blizzard for probably, it would have been nearly 30 miles that we went through this blizzard, and I kept thinking, oh, it's just going to be like a Queensland rainstorm. We'll be out the other side in no time. But no, we kept going through it. And I was sort of, I could see a little bit of centre line in the middle, and Barry was going by the guide poles. And anyway, we sort of pretty well into it, and all our visors started fogging up underneath. And we ended up, we couldn't see anything. And Barry's going, "Oh my God, I'm going to have to pull up because I cannot see a thing." And I'm like, "Me either." And I couldn't even see his tail light in front of me. And anyway, I lifted my visor up and I'm like, "Oh, hallelujah, I can see," because I didn't realise it had actually fogged up all underneath.
Oh, okay.
So we still had a way to go. So riding along, and I still had my sunglasses on, and riding along, and then next thing my sunglasses iced up. So I had my sunglasses down on the tip of my nose, and then my eyelashes started freezing and I had icicles hanging off my eyelashes. And then luckily we came to, there was a big lake beside us, and apparently once you sort of get near water, the snow, it tends to
you get black ice as well. So.
But anyway, by the time we pulled up, probably it was about another 10 minutes after we came out of it, we managed to pull up, and we would have had 3 inches of snow down the front of our legs, on the tops of our boots. My bike, I had a street glide. The entire headlight was frozen, and it had icicles about the size of my little finger hanging down off my headlights, and my little GoPro was just a little frozen mass over on the side. So it was one of those times I'm thinking, oh, my God, I just want to get home safely. But, yeah, it was an experience. We got out of it, had some hot chocolate further up the road at Clearwater, and went, oh, that was awesome.
Well, if someone wants to I will put details in the description. If someone wants to get hold of this, have you got any how do they, it's so hard to do this thing because I'm getting it right.
Okay, now they can order it direct off my website, which is www.roadtrippingamerica.com.au. So I take a PayPal credit card. I've also got it on my Facebook page. There will be a link that will actually take them through to my website. I have several of the Harley Davidson stores are now stocking it. Might have to get a few of the Indian stores online if we can. But all of the Harley Heaven mob are stocking it. So Harley Heaven, there's Dandenong, Melbourne, Sydney, Adelaide, Ringwood, all stocking the book. We have the Sun City Harley Davidson in Townsville stocking the book as well. So we're slowly sort of getting the book out there into dealerships. But because I've been an indie author, so it means that I have published the book myself. It's not published by a big publishing house. I've done all of the work. I've done all the layout in the book, and it was all professionally edited by. I had a lady from America. She was the chief editor for National Geographic Travel for 20 years. So she was my editor. So she gave me a lot of hints to help make it a useful guide for people to use.
I want to show everyone. You've even inscribed mine. I feel very special. Dear Chris and Calamity.
I'm getting writer's cramp.
I can't recommend it enough. And like, I haven't yet read it from cover to cover, but what I've done, I've picked up and read bits in relation to what I'm thinking. I go, that'll be in Linda's book, and I'll check that out. And you've got some great tips about, shipping your bike, all that stuff that I have no idea about. And it's just such a foreign everything. I'm starting, it's hard when you're on your own sometimes trying to work it out. So you've really helped. And I just tell you, we are actually live, Linda. I mean, when we get off, I will go into YouTube, and then I don't know what I will do. I don't care, because we could do this again anyway, but we're live, so this is already out there. And we are being watched by Smitty from Taree. Smitty, Taree, what's that? Yeah, Smitty from Taree, and Dave Clark in Queensland. He's up your way. I don't know how far up he is.
Hey, Dave.
So we've only got two that have clocked on and found us. Well, here I am thinking all the while that it tells me there that you're scheduled for January. So I don't know what this.
And I think I can, if I put my glasses on, I think I can read. I think it does say live on. Yes, it does. It says live. Yeah. So yes, we are live.
I was going to say live, but the live broadcast from this was feeding to YouTube, and the YouTube is what's scheduled. That's how I've understood it. Anyway, I'm wrong. I don't give a shit.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. I've had
at least we have it taped. So anyway, let's give Smithy and let's give him a little tour of the
Smithy and Dave Clark. No one else has discovered us. Those guys have just been on it like bloody white on rice.
We'll give him a little tour of the bike in the shed. I'm sitting in the shed. I am sweltering here. It's around about 37 degrees, probably about 40 degrees in the shed here. But I thought it was a little bit better backdrop with all our,
it's beautiful,
all our little bits of stuff. We've got our, we've actually got the last banner from the last hog rally in Australia. Goes right around the top of the shed up there. It was the last one at Tamworth there. So we got that up there. So that's why I thought the shed was a wee bit more interesting than in the house. So we're in here.
It's so hot. Smitty's just saying it was 42 where he is.
Oh.
Yes, it's actually been quite cool in Sydney, but at least it's got rid of a lot of the smoke that was settling here. So it's just crazy. I mean, there's been snow down in down south. There's snow and fire. It's crazy.
Crazy.
So, Linda, you've got the book. You travel America every year. What about Europe or the UK or Africa? Any of those countries in your planning at all?
We've travelled there in cars and trains. We've been all through there. We've been through Egypt, rode camels through the desert in Egypt, and had four-wheel drives and got lost in the desert in Egypt. Got thrown a wee bit quieter. We've done Europe, the UK. We've been up through there. I think we've been having too much fun in America.
You can't beat it.
To go to look at it, but I definitely want to. Like I say, we've been in business for a long time, and we're still in business with our main industry, our Thai business. We've got a couple of Thai stores up here. We're hoping, retirement's getting closer and closer, which will be a bonus, and then we can get away.
In my sights, retirement. It's in my sights. I'm getting close.
Be wonderful. Life never slows down.
I'm going to come up to yours, because I'll be tripping around Australia, and I'll be popping in for a glass of wine, and
you are more than welcome.
On the lounge somewhere, more than likely.
Hell, you're more than welcome. We can grab your old mate Sue over, and we can have
that's it. Well, that's one of the connections we had. I I was a wild teenager with Sue, and mind you, we got up to some crazy mischief back in those days. And I still, I found her after losing her for 15, 20 years. I found her on Facebook, which is one of the great things about Facebook. We've reconnected, and I know she's up there, so I definitely want to come.
She's a lovely lady, and she's got 2 beautiful daughters, and now she's got a little grandson as well. So
well, we're all grandparents. I mean, I'm like you. I've got 2 granddaughters, and you've got what now? What have you got?
I've got 3. We've got 3. We've got 2 boys and darling little Madeline down in Brizzy. So I had the boys last night, so it was a bit of a rush to get them off to school this morning, and making lunches, bit of a shock.
I think that's probably what's keeping me here at the moment. I mean, in reality is I could go now, but they're only 3 and 5, and I would miss them too much. So I'm just waiting for them to get that, primary school where they start to get their own friends and own things happening.
When they can come over with you, Chris.
Well, I will. I'll be shipping them over with me in some places, but
I go down. I actually took my road glide down our road's about 2 kilometres down to where I pick him up, because the grandson came home on the bus this afternoon. I took the road glide down and picked him up, and he just was tickled pink, because normally I just take one of the little bikes down, and he was tickled pink. And Nana's riding up the road like rev, rev, rev. He's sitting there and he's going, "Go, Nana!"
Yeah,
I love it. Hey.
No, they're such a delight. Someone said to me, "Chris, it's a different love, and you won't experience anything like it." And I said, "No, how can you love anyone more than your own kids? Impossible." But I swear to God, I say to my kids now, just give me those babies. You can bugger off now. I've done
my daughter's like, "Mum, can I get a kiss too?"
I know. They're such a delight. They're great. So have you got tonight? Am I keeping you from grandma duties?
No. My daughter Lyra, she's come to pick them up. So I'm free. That's why. Hence
and so before we sign off, I've just booked my Spirit to Tasmania. I'm going to Tassie in February, but I think we might cross paths. I'm going on the 17th of February. Back in Melbourne on the 23rd. Then I'm going to do the Silo Trail to come through. Then flip over to Cobargo. There's a folk festival on, and get back to work totally exhausted. So I will be in Tassie. What date are you going again?
I think we're going to go, it'll be more towards the end of February. I haven't booked it yet. Because we'll go down. We're still tossing up whether sometimes we ship the bikes down to Melbourne. It just depends on how much time we can get away.
So that's a big ride for you, and
also what our weather's like up here. Like February's wet season, but so I sort of haven't set anything in stone. But what we normally do is we'll then come back, and we always go to the Brighter Music Festival in Brighter Day. So
that's a week after the Cobargo Folk Festival, and I may ride out to that. I don't know.
It is brilliant. It raises funds for childhood diseases. That is really short on funding. Have
you already booked your accommodation there? Because it'd be pretty.
We booked it the year before. We've got a house that we've got there now, and it's right in Bright. And I just say to the woman, "Look, just book it again for me for the following year." So we do the trek down for that, because I think it's a really worthy cause, and it's just a fantastic weekend. And we love our cars as well. We've got quite a lot of, we've got old muscle cars, we've got GTs and XYs, XBs. So we love our cars. So they have a lot of unique cars are there as well. So it's a fantastic weekend. So we're trying to we'll tag Tassie in on at the beginning of it, and then head up there, and then it's just like a marathon effort to get home. It's like take the back roads.
I'll give you my dates. You never know, we might be able to cross paths, but I'd
be lovely.
Probably earlier than you there. I only booked it today. I'm going to do the Indian dealership in Melbourne. I've got some magazine people to meet regarding the event that I'm doing and other stuff that I do. And then I thought, I'm going to bugger it. I'm going to do 6 days in Tassie. I know it's not enough, but I'll get back and do another 6 down the track. Any excuse, any excuse.
It's a nice place. Hey, I love Tassie. It's not. We've been there a few times.
I haven't been, so I've not been. know that I've got to do it. And so next
there's a really good book. Leon Culpet put it out from Aussie Riders.
Right.
And it's Mafia, and it's brilliant. It's got a heap of really good rides, so I'll definitely be using.
You sort of broke up a bit when you said that. What's the name of the book?
Oh gosh,
like Road Guide or something.
Put it out. He edited. He wrote it. He was the author, and I think it's called Touring Tassie. And it's only just a little thin book. It's just like stapled together. And I think it only normally retails for around about $10 or something. But he had maps in it, and it had a heap of really good rides in it. So I sort of have been sitting there looking at that and trying to plan where we'll go. Because I think the last time we went they had the hog rally down there was the last time we went.
Okay,
and that was, pretty wild time. And so, we sort of want to see a few different places this time.
I haven't. I mean, I've done an event thing on my Facebook where I found this map, and it was actually called Doing Tassie in 6 days, and it had across to there. And I go, well, you know what? That might be it. I mean, someone's gone to all that trouble for some reason, and that might be what I do.
I think you can see a fair bit over there in 6 days.
Yeah.
I've no doubt you miss a lot, but definitely you can sort of like. It's not like us here in Queensland where it takes us like nearly 2 days to get down to Brisbane. 2 easy days, but we're getting older. We take easy days now, so it's definitely a nice place to see. And God, I hope it's bloody cooler than here right now because I am sweltering.
I bet it's very hot. I can. I don't do well with the heat. I could see myself maybe living in Tassie. I get, I love going south, put it that way. I'm coming up to Cooley Rocks in June for the Cooley Rocks Festival. I know that's not near you, that's the Gold Coast, but, you never know. But eventually I'll be up your way when I trip around. Smitty just says he's in Tassie in a week. So thanks to Smitty and Dave, who actually found it live when it wasn't supposed to be. And now I've got to work out how I now put it on private and then schedule it to come up again. So these guys have got a sneak preview. You're very lucky.
The unedited version.
Yeah, well, I don't even know how I bloody edit on YouTube yet. So I learn every step of the way. There's always something to learn. All this social media. I've become a social media whore, and I'm actually still learning about it. I stuff up a lot, but anyway, I'm trying. And so this is all part of I belong to, with 4 other girls, a thing called the Momma Mafia, and there's one girl, Mrs. Kiwi Rider from New Zealand. So we're the Southern Hemisphere girls, and the other ladies are in America, Florida, California. I forget where. There's Bombshell Biker, Mama Biker, and and the Geared Raven and Mrs. Kiwi Rider, and they invited me in a couple of months ago to join that. So there's a commitment from each of us. We do one interview a month. So I'll have to do another one maybe in 6 months' time. But I will get better at it. I won't stuff it up next time. But so the guys are saying, Mum's a word. They won't say anything. But, this I don't know. So, again, thanks so much, Linda, for your time. Sorry about, the hour that we spent talking the other night that wasn't captured. That book is definitely worth getting.
Yeah.
Not only for Aussies, it'd be great for Americans or English, anyone that wants to do a bit more traveling in America. You've got some great tips in there. It's terrific.
It does feature Route 66, and it features Sturgis. So I've got probably more so Sturgis than anything.
Yeah. Well, that is the biggest bike festival in the world.
Yeah, and it's like something, it is an event that a lot of people really want to go along to at least once in their life, but it does become addictive. Once you go there once, you think, oh, yeah, I've seen it. You won't go back.
I've always thought when they were built, whenever they built the roads in America, the guys that built them, I reckon, stood there like that and went, I'll just do the camber a little bit like this. They're made for motorbike riders. The difference between the American roads and Australian roads are astounding, I think. And unless you've ridden American roads, you won't appreciate what I'm saying. They are so much better.
They are fantastic. And the scenery, And I find it's the continuation of the roads.
Mm-hmm.
You know, here we may ride Putty Road. That's, you know, it's only, you know, like it really in the blink of an eye, it's over and done with. Whereas over in America, we come down through Idaho. There, we're on Highway 12 from Missoula, going down through Lolo National Park.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're already riding along on this lovely windy road, and then you come to this sign and it says 99 miles, and it's followed by this. So you've got another 99 miles where you're coming down through the national forest. You've got the river running along beside you there, minimal traffic, pretty good road surface. We rode it this year in 2019. It was pretty good. They'd resurfaced a considerable amount of it. Last year it was a bit sketchy when we rode it, but it's pretty well resurfaced now. It is just amazing. There's nothing down there for that whole 99 miles.
Amazing.
And you pull up, like we'll normally quite often, we'll pack a lunch. We just get some like wraps, throw them in the top box. Barry will normally have a bike with a top box on it. Throw the wraps in the top box, have a little esky, fold up esky thing with a bit of ice in. We pull up on the side of the river, have a bit of lunch there, take the coffee thermos along. Fantastic. No one's there. It's incredible. And then you come out of that, and then you've got about another 99 miles of winding your way around through wheat fields where it's up and down. There's all old silos, sheds. It's just amazing.
It's like they built the roads thinking, if I was a motorbike rider, which way would, you know, how do I want to do it? They're brilliant. So, you know, Australia's bloody. I mean, we do have some good roads, don't get me wrong.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
There's some Americans and other people from other countries watching this. You know, I don't want to put anyone off. We've got some great rides in Australia, brilliant.
Fantastic.
But, you know, America's just taken it up another level. And I rode New Zealand actually beginning of the year, and I'm saying this because of Mrs. Kiwi Rider. I only did the North Island, which reminded me a lot of Australia, actually. It was beautiful.
Lovely.
But, 2021, I want to do the South Island, and I believe that's where it's at. The South Island is like, you know, Lord of the Rings country. So that's where it's at. I've heard.
Yeah, no, it's lovely, definitely. So, but yeah, no, we definitely have some really great roads here in Australia that are well worth seeing, and some great sites. Like fantastic. Like even though we're here and like, you know, we've got Bruce Highway north and south, but you know, we've got some great outback rides we can do. We go out to the beach.
But the roads may not be quite as lush, but I tell you, the places that you can go to and the characters that you meet in this country,
fantastic.
Make up for it, because you know, as the characters in those little outback places of America are funny as well.
Definitely both have got great places to see, and I definitely feel I've been lucky that we've been able to head over as often as we have, and just see the places that we've seen.
You transcribed it all in your book, and both Dave and Smitty they're buying one. They're said in the comments. You can't see the comments, can you?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know what it looks like your end.
I look like I'm melting here, boys.
No, you look fine. And I've got to go soon because, as you can see, it's getting dark, and you know, I don't have electricity. Not really. I don't have lighting. Oh my God. I've really got to get my shit together when it comes to sort of setting up this technical stuff. But anyway, this was a great run. It was a great chat.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Linda. I do look forward to maybe crossing paths in Tassie. If not,
definitely
you'll your way before too long. And ride safe. And listen, maybe you'd like to do your next volume 2 would be like which way you would go if you had 3 or 4 months in America, because that's the sort of information I'm looking for now.
Well, you know what you could do, Chris? You could combine them, because in there I've actually got a ride I feature all the bucket list rides in America. So, and there's rides that are right over in Tennessee and Carolina. There's rides in Texas that are bucket list rides, Montana,
So I will get a map, and I'll get all your bucket lists, and I'll put pins on it.
You can join them, because I've also got in there like all the really good national parks to see. And also I've got rides to Sturgis. I've got one from Milwaukee to Sturgis, and places to see along the way, really iconic places. And if you get the opportunity, have a read of that one, because I've got in there a little bit about a place called Spirit Lake, and I've got a link in there that will to. And this is probably why it took me so long to write the book, is because I'm trying to put little bits of history snippets that are interesting for people in there.
Yeah.
And when I read about that history of Spirit Lake, there was actually a big massacre there, hundreds of years ago, and the Indians actually took 4 women hostage, and this one woman, there were 2 women that survived, and this one woman was kidnapped by the Indians, and they took her. I think she was gone for about 3 months. They treated her dreadfully, killed a couple of the other women in front of her, and she finally was rescued. And 30 years later, she actually wrote about the ordeal. Whoa. And when I was doing the research about Spirit Lake, because what happened, her cabin is still there at Spirit Lake, and just the history and reading about this woman's ordeal and what she had gone through.
And you mentioned that in this book, did you say? Or
sorry?
Do you mention that in this?
Yes. It's in the Wide Milwaukee to Sturgis.
Okay,
and
right.
It's got Spirit Lake, and it's got the links there that will take you through, that should take you through to Abby Gardner's cabin. But just fantastic history. And then I've got the ride from Vegas up to Sturgis, and then from Sturgis back to Vegas, going over the Beartooth, through Yellowstone, down through Jackson, which is amazing, Jackson Hole and the magnificent Grand Tetons, and heading back to Sturgis, and also like a detour over to Bonneville Salt Flats. I've got heaps of detours in there. Things like just going to Cody.
I've been to Cody, but I want to go back. I missed, I want to spend more time in places.
Fantastic. And if you go there, make sure it's got little tips like, make sure you go into the Irma, that pub that he built after his daughter. And in there's the old Cherrywood bar that was gifted to him by Queen Victoria. But also what we found in there last time we went there, there is this monstrous moose head hanging on the wall, and it's the 2nd biggest moose ever recorded. Shame the poor bugger's dead. But anyway, he is gigantic, hanging on the wall in the dining room there in the Irma Hotel at Cody. So I've got Cody actually as a detour, but I've got about probably 5 pages dedicated to it. It's fantastic.
Oh, great. Yeah, well, I think we're going to Cody this next trip, but again, it won't be long enough for me. So I need to, this is, this is my Bible. Yeah, I can't, I'm going to get stuck into it more. Well, Linda, thank you so much for your time. 2 hours. I mean, we've nearly done another hour, and the hour the other night. So, I hope you're not charging me. I've been sipping my wine listening to you, so you've got yours. So Merry Christmas to you and Barry and the whole family. And I'm going to now try and work out what I have stuffed up on the other end on the YouTube end. But anyway, thank you to Smitty and Dave for joining us. They're going to get your book, and I'm sure they'll find it as fascinating as I have. And keep the shiny side up, love, and I'll see you on the road.
See you on the road sometime, Chris.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya. Bye.
End broadcast. I know what button to press.
I got to put my glasses back on to see, but I've dropped my glasses.
There we go now.